Oh, hi, knickknackers. I am about to can my sauerkraut, so I thought I would kind of bring you along a little bit and share what I've done. So my mom has loaned me her kraut, or her crock, and you can see over here on the stove I have the sauerkraut that aged for 6 weeks in the crock, heating up on the stove. So I was just going to kind of go over how to make your kraut first. And you need about 25 pounds of cabbage and 1 cup of pickling or canning salt. You are going to slice your cabbage into thin shreds, as thin as you want them. Some of mine are a little longer than others, but I just took a knife this go round and did it that way. In the past, I've kind of shredded them a little bit more, really little shreds. So any size that you want is fine. It's gonna pickle. You put your cabbage in there in about 5-pound increments and sprinkle it with your salt. If you have a little wooden pounding thing, I don't, so I just used a potato masher, and you can kind of work your way, pack it down until it starts to get juicy. And you repeat that until your crock is full. If you don't have enough, as the salt is working with your cabbage, it will bring out the juices of the cabbage and hopefully cover the top of the cabbage. If you don't have enough juices to cover, you take a, let's see, the brine is listed here in the book. You can take 4.5 teaspoons of the salt to 4 cups of water and dissolve that salt in the water and pour it over the top, which is actually what I did this last go round because I didn't have anything to really pound the cabbage really well to get all the juices going. And I wanted to make sure when I started the process that I had enough juice covering it. I just added that brine right to it. And then my mom's has weights that come with it. If you don't have the weights that come with the crock, I've also used like a 5-gallon bucket and used a plate to push it down, and then filled up a canning jar or 2 of water and set it on top to keep that plate or something weighted down over it to keep the brine up and the kraut below the brine line. I let mine go for about 6 weeks. I usually put it on the calendar and taste it at the 6-week mark, and almost every single time it is ready for me at 6 weeks. So that's what I did today. Today is 6 weeks, and we tasted it, and we all agree that it tastes delicious. This last go round, I actually mixed up, and it's kind of, I don't know that it's going to show up on the camera, but I had only 2 heads of cabbage. I think about 5 heads of cabbage will give you the 25 pounds. But I belong to a program where we get some fruits and veggies delivered once a week, and one of the 6 weeks ago, I had one that had 2 heads of cabbage that came, and so I used, one was a purple head and one was a green head, so that's what I used to make my kraut this go round. So what I'm doing now is I'm heating it up. You don't want to boil the kraut. You just want to get it warm. And so that's what I have here. It's been sitting, I don't know, 15-20 minutes on a low heat. And it's warmed up through. So now I'm going to start packing it in my jars. I'm not sure how many quarts I'm going to get. I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4. I don't think I'm going to get very many. But I only have 3 or 4 on my shelf right now, so that'll double what I have. So I'm just going to take the kraut first and get it in here. And the instructions tell me that I should be getting this to within a 1/2 inch of the top. So that's I'm probably going to be able to add more to that because there's a lot of airspace in there at the moment. I can see just looking at it. But I'm going to add some of the brine to kind of fill in that airspace, and then I'll pack it with my debubbler, kind of work some of that air out. And then we'll probably be able to fit some more kraut in there. Oh yeah, you'll be able to fit some more in there. Quite a bit more actually. Okay. See where that is there. I can fit just a little bit more. All right, that's about to the 1/2 inch line. See right there, so I need to, oh, you know what I forgot? I did not get my lids and rings ready, so I'm gonna go get those ready and then I'll wash that jar off and I'll bring it back when I'm doing another jar. All right, so I've got my lids soaking now and I'm gonna wash the rim off. Get rid of my lids. So if you love sauerkraut, and I do, I love it. Store-bought is okay. I'm certainly not going to turn my nose up at store-bought, but you have not had sauerkraut unless you have had homemade sauerkraut. I'll eat store-bought, but I try to make sure that I always have the homemade stuff available to me now, ever since I was taught how to make this. So I am forever in the Yuba Lakers debt for showing me how to make my own kraut, because it actually is kind of fun, especially the way they do it. If you've ever been to like an Oktoberfest where they have the kraut making and apple cider making, it's a blast. And you learn something and you get some goods to take home, and it's good stuff. So I'm going to finish packing these jars, see how many we get out of 2 heads of lettuce, not lettuce, 2 heads of kraut. And maybe there will be enough left over that we have some for dinner tonight, but I doubt it. I think these are all probably going to end up on the shelf. But you never know. So I will bring you back when all of my jars are packed. All right, so there is my last jar of the sauerkraut. It's gonna go in the canner. And I did have a little bit left over, so I think what I'm gonna do is I will show you guys in a later video. I don't think there's quite a quart left in here. There's a lot of juice left in there, and I don't want to just have a quart of mostly juice. So I think what I'll do is I'll bring you back for a video later, and I will show you how I make sauerkraut soup. And it sounds really weird. I know it's strange, and I'm not afraid to be a little adventurous with my meals, but it is delicious. So I'll bring you back for that in a different video. In the meantime, I'm going to get this, put the lid on, get it to boiling. And it's going to process for, I believe, 20 minutes for my altitude. Let me check here. Yep, 20 minutes for my altitude. So I'll bring you back when this is done processing and I'm bringing it out of the canner. All right, guys, so I thought I would just show you what that crock looks like. So it comes like this. This happens to be the one that my mom is letting me borrow. A lot of times they just are a big bucket without any of this other fancy stuff to it. But here's the weight. This is one of the weights that will go down inside once you have your kraut packed down inside of here. You would just place that over the top of the kraut on one side, and then the other half would go down on the other side. And then this one happens to have a lid that sits up on the top here, and then that creates like a little moat around the top that you fill with water, and as the kraut starts to ferment, that allows the, there's a little, these little things on the side. Oh, sorry, you can't see. These little divots on the side here that allow the gases to escape up top and burp out these little holes. And once you fill that with the oxygen, that kind of seals it off so the oxygen can't get down inside. And as that's burping out, that pushes the oxygen out and allows the cabbage or whatever else, your carrots, the cucumbers, whatever you want to ferment, to sit in there and stay in a environment conducive for fermenting. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring you along and show you that. All right, so our sauerkraut is done. We're gonna bring that out. Ooh, I can hear that. Ooh, it was really hissing. All right. I'll show that to you guys. Now this is actually quite a bit darker than what my sauerkraut normally comes out like, but I also use the purple cabbage, which I've never done before. We did try it when we first opened the crock, just to see what the taste was like, to see if it was ready to be canned or not, and it tastes amazing. So I think even though the color looks kind of dark, I think it's still going to turn out just fine. So anyway, it's kind of far away, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, oh, sorry. I never know how to use this stupid thing when it's on the tripod. There it is. And just want to thank you guys again for watching my videos. I hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.